As the seafood demand increases, an aquaculture was introduced to the world to maintain supplying enough amount of seafood to the consumers. The main purpose of aquaculture is for food production and income generation. Basically, it's farming in water. Aquaculture, also known as aquafarming, is the farming of fish, crustaceans, mollusks, aquatic plants, algae, and other organisms. Aquaculture involves cultivating fresh water and salt water populations under controlled conditions and can be contrasted with commercial fishing, which is the harvesting of wild fish. In present, about 50% of seafood produced come from aquaculture, and it is predicted that this will keep increasing to 62% by 2030 for human consumption. Aquaculture is divided into two main types, which are marine aquaculture and freshwater aquaculture. Marine aquaculture refers to breeding or farming the species living in the ocean as estuaries, while freshwater aquaculture is farming the freshwater fish like carp, tilapia, catfish and trout. Besides alga culture and prawn farming, also the other types of aquaculture. There are four stages of aquaculture production chain, which are hatchery, feed mills, farm, and processor. The first stage, hatchery, is where the breeding of fish, hatching of eggs, and rearing of fish happens. The next process is feeding mills, where the fish is fed with meals until it grows to a specific size before moved to the tank. The final stage is called processing, where the matured fish is sent to processing facility and is packed before sent to the food retailer and grocery store. Aquaculture is important as it provides protein sources to the human, and it also could prevent the aquatic life from extinct. Aquaculture is one of the world's most efficient and sustainable methods to produce high quality protein. The industry has low carbon footprint and feed conversion ratio, as well as high protein and energy retention. Accordingly, the industry is rising to the challenge where farmed seafood production grew at a healthy 5.8% annually, which was more than 4 times the annual world population growth in 2010 and 2014.
Nowadays, high oil prices, competing demands between food and other biofuel sources, and the world food crisis have ignited interest in alga culture for making vegetable oil, biodiesel, bioethanol, biomethanol, and other biofuels using land that is not suitable for agriculture. Agriculture has been operated since 1,500 years ago in Japan as they cultivated seaweed. Seaweed has been food sources in certain countries like Japan, Korea, and China. Apart from that, seaweed is also used in toothpaste production. And today, algae are capable to provide energy and combat environmental threat. Algal culture is the cultivating algae for commercial. There are two main types of algae, which are macroalgae and microalgae. Macroalgae are seaweed, while microalgae are tiny single-cell plants that float in water, each one visible only through a microscope. Algae had enormous potential to provide a non-food high-yield, non-arable land-use source of biodiesel, ethanol, and hydrogen fuels. Microalgae are the fastest growing photosynthesizing organism capable of completing an entire growing cycle every few days. Up to 50% of algae weight is comprised of oil, compared with the oil palm, which yields just about 20% of its weight in oil. There are three basic systems in cultivating algae, which are in open pond, closed pond, and biophotoreactor. Open pond is the simplest method to grow algae in large and shallow pond. The water is often divided into concentric lanes or raceway with pedal wheels to move the algae mixture in a circle. This helps bring algae to the surface where they are exposed to light and mixes nutrient and carbon dioxide into the liquid. In this method, less algae biomass is produced and the water loss due to evaporation is high. Thus, more water needs to be added in the system. This method exposes algae to contamination by predator or undesirable algae. Net closed pond system. The closed pond system is the same as the open pond, but the water is covered by a pixel glass greenhouse. This raises the cost but allows greater control of the process. This method could reduce water evaporation and even contamination. The last system is biophotoreactor. Biophotoreactor is a completely closed system consisting of glass or acrylic tube where the algae are exposed to light. The water, nutrient, and algae are pumped through the tubes and storage tank. The algae are harvested when they are ready. This approach gives growers the most control over the process and the most efficient way to produce algae biomass. But this method costs money the most for the operation and setup. All of the cultivating systems stated above are for microalgae. In cultivating macroalgae, traditional method is still used, which is cultivating them in open ocean as the ocean provides good condition and nutrition for them.
Define of mariculture, a specialized brand of aquaculture involving the breeding of marine organisms for food and other products in the open ocean and enclosed section of the ocean, or in tank, pond, or reservoir which are filled with seawater. An example of the latter is the farming of marine fish, including finfish and shellfish like prawns. There are several types of mariculture, and the different possibility to group the kind of mariculture. The first one presented here is the subdivision by species. And this is done because the different species require different systems that have a different characteristics. The first is marine fish culture, involving rearing of the marine fish from fry or fingerling to marketable size in case suspended by floating raft, usually in a sheltered coastal area. The species culture change gradually over the recent years depend on the ability of import fry. Common species under the culture include the green grouper, brown spotted grouper, and giant grouper. The second is marine plant culture. These include the macro and micro algae as well. Culture aquatic plants have a complicated life cycle with several intermediate stages. The major source of broodstock is wild collection. Most culture is now depend on hatchery production of the early life stage, which are attached to growing media and transferred to marine site. There are a lot of advantages of mariculture. The first advantage is operational expenditure. It's more efficient, economical, and faster growth process that give low ongoing operational costs compared to other methods of fish farming operation. Second is natural quality. It will give a better quality and with a higher nutrition value because a healthier and tastier product, which may be offered at a premium price. Third is various species enable natural breeding and growing of various types of fish and other mariculture products because its capabilities of the size, modularity, and the open sea environment that the system can be located in any sea.
Another part of agriculture is freshwater fish and prawn farming. In definition, Freshwater fish are those that spend some or all of their life in freshwater, such as rivers and lakes, with a salinity of less than 1.05%. There are some species of freshwater fish are called anadromous, catadromous, and aphidromous. For anadromous, they hatch in freshwater, head out to sea, where they live until they return to freshwater to reproduce. Then, catadromous are those that do it in rivers. These animals hatch at sea, live most of their life in freshwater, then return to the ocean to reproduce. However, for fish that are born in freshwater and drift to the ocean as larvae, then return to freshwater to live out their life cycles are called aphidromous. In addition, in United States, freshwater fish species are usually classified by the water temperature in which they survive. The water temperature affects the amount of oxygen available, as cold water contains more oxygen than warm water. Freshwater fish face threats from human activities such as overfishing, marine pollution, habitat loss, dam building, and the introduction of invasive species. Around 40% of North American freshwater fish species have become imperiled in recent decades, and since 1900, at least 57 species of freshwater fish in North America have gone extinct. Next is freshwater prawn farming. A freshwater prawn farm is an aquaculture business designed to raise and produce freshwater prawns or shrimp for human consumption. There are some considerations need to be taken to produce a successful prawn farming. Firstly, they require large ponds with excellent filtration and water quality. Hence, the ponds must be in an area not prone to flooding and unaffected by runoff from areas utilizing pesticides. Second is stocking densities need to be kept low to prevent stunted growth. Next is use clear water systems of management, whether they are flow-throughs or recirculation to manage the hatchery process successfully. And the last one is control the predation problems, which is the greatest problems for whole aquaculture.
Semi-aquatic refer to various types of animals that spend part of their time in water or plants that naturally grow partially submerged in water. Semi-aquatic animals include the vertebrates that are semi-aquatic tetrapods and amphibious fish, and several types of normally fully aquatic fish such as the brunian that spawn in the intertidal zone. Few types of semi-aquatic animals such as arthropods, including semi-aquatic springtails, semi-terrestrial molluscous like crabs, amphipods, isopods, barnacles such as horseshoe crabs that are mostly aquatic but spawn in the intertidal zone, semi-aquatic spiders, and amphibious centipede. Next animal in semi-aquatic is semi-aquatic annelids such as the earthworm that including intertidal bivalve, intertidal chitons, and semi-terrestrial gastropods. The semi-aquatic animal was from various species including mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. From mammal species, all existing fully aquatic mammals, except the sea otter, are found in two classes of exclusively aquatic species. Existing semi-aquatic marine mammals, however, are limited to carnivore. Semi-aquatic rodents were noted for their size, having larger than normal brains, possibly as a result of using their vibrators to detect prey acoustically. The vast majority of bird species are found in three clubs, the members of which are mostly semi-aquatic. Semi-aquatic forms are widely distributed among existing and extinct reptiles for reptile species, and only ecologically prominent were extinct semi-aquatic or fully aquatic marine forms. For the species of amphibians, They differ from other semi-aquatic theropods in that they are semi-aquatic lifestyle in equestrial rather than the result of a secondary evolutionary trend from a terrestrial state back to an aquatic environment. These are therefore the only theropod to have gills. All remaining semi-aquatic or fully aquatic amphibians inhabit freshwater habitats, with the exception of the crab-eating frog, which are also exploit brackish habitats.
The ecosystem is incomplete without aquaculture, as it is one of the most important for balance biodiversity. Nowadays, the fishing industry has become increasingly globalized. Aquaculture does not only create a barrier against pollution with mollusks and seaweed, but also reduces fishing pressure on wild stock. Aquacultures also protect biodiversity by reducing the fishing activities on wild stock in their ecosystems. Reduced action of fishing saves the diversity of the aquatic ecosystem from extinction due to overfishing.